Hey guys, so today what we're going to be doing is installing an oil pressure sending unit for an oil pressure gauge, and we're going to be doing this by teeing it off the factory location where the oil pressure light screws into. First we got to locate where the oil pressure switch is, and there's just a single plug on the top that we just need to remove. This is done simply enough just with your hands. Once you've taken the plug off, what you have to do is use a spanner. I think in this case it's 17mm to loosen it up, and then you should be able to loosen it. Loosen it with your hands and take it off. Then you want to get your brass fittings. In this case it's 1/8 NPT thread, and you just want to test fit to make sure that it is the correct thread. We're going to start by installing the brass tee. We're going to thread this in. I've used a little bit of Teflon tape just to ensure that there's no leaks. Once this is snugged up with a spanner, 13mm, we're going to install the factory oil pressure light switch back on. Once this is snugged back up nice and tight, we're going to be able to install the plug back in. As you can see, it's a little bit awkward with the spanner, so just get it started with your hands, and then once it's started, you'll be able to use the spanner just to snug it up nice and tight. Install the plug back in, and then we can thread the oil pressure sending unit in. So I just tightened it up with my hands, and then I was able to use a spanner to tighten it up so it was nice and snug. Just check all around, make sure it's not fouling on anything, and then we're going to give the engine a quick start to make sure it's not leaking. With the engine running, you just want to check around your fittings just to make sure that there's no oil leaks and that everything seems secure and not moving around. So here you can see I've attached the wire, single wire that goes from the sending unit to the gauge, and it's just run through the engine bay. I've used O style fitting to attach it to the gauge, and then it just goes through the firewall through a hole that was already there for the fog lights. I've attached it to the back of the gauge cluster, and here you can see that I've used the stock locations for the battery gauge as the positive and ground, and attached a single wire. The gauge seems to be working fine, showing good oil pressure and correct for my car. I'll just try it a couple of times just to make sure that it's all working correctly. And that is how you install an oil pressure sending unit for an oil pressure gauge. As you can see, I installed it where the factory inclinometer used to be. Mine wasn't working, so with a little bit of modification to the housing, I was able to put an oil pressure gauge in there, which in my opinion is a little bit more useful than seeing what sort of angles I'm on. Thank you for watching. If you like this, then hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. Cheers.